Hi there, this is Chef Bruce Wood, and I'm cooking with the bounty from Bryson Farms. Stuart has given me these beautiful vegetables to work with and come up with recipes for. So today we're going to do a lovely rustic Italian rice soup. The rice we're going to use is called arborio rice. It's a short grain rice. It's normally used for making risotto. If you don't have it, you can use basmati or brown rice. It's just good, but I prefer the arborio because of the body it gives the soup. The first thing we're going to do is get a little bit of butter and olive oil into this pot. We want a nice heavy bottom pot so that everything's going to cook evenly. Nice shot of olive oil. And then what we're going to do is add all our veg. Now, when we trim kale or whatever, we always save the stems in the freezer. So when it's time to make a soup like this, we just take all the stems and put them right in there. Because when you cook kale, the stems are too tough to eat with the leaves. So save them for this and it'll be wonderful. We have onions and garlic cut. And we're just gonna let that go for a couple of minutes. Now, what you always wanna do is put a little bit of salt on here right now. And what that does is it helps the vegetables release a bit of moisture and they sweat nicely. Now, I'm gonna scatter that everywhere. All this beautiful kale, sweet potato, carrot, all came from Stuart and Terry at Bryson. And the most amazing thing when I was cutting it today was the fact that it all had a perfume. I couldn't believe how lovely it smelled when I was cutting it. I called Angela over and said, hey, come here, you've got to smell this, it's amazing. So, now, another secret ingredient that we always have in the freezer, when you buy good Parmesan or Romano cheese, you always get down, you have the rind. Don't throw the rinds out. Especially when you're making a tomato soup like this, what you do is take the rind and tie it up with string. Insert the appropriate bondage jokes here. And then tie it off on the handle and just stick that into the soup. As the soup simmers, the cheese, whatever cheese is left on the rind is going to melt and simmer with the soup and just give it one of those flavors. When you go to a restaurant, you have a bowl of soup and you go, why doesn't my soup at home taste like this? It's because we do all these little tricks and it always makes it taste really quite wonderful. Now, normally I would cook this for probably 15 to 20 minutes before I added any liquid because I really want the veg to get nice and soft. But we don't have that kind of time here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add the rest of our ingredients. So here we have some dry oregano. And we're gonna add some chili flakes, a pinch or more, as much as you like. I like it just to have a nice background warmth. I don't want it hot or spicy, but I like it to be interesting. Nice shot of that. Then we're gonna give it a little bit of black pepper. Always freshly ground black pepper. Now it's starting to smell. The kitchen is glorious right now. All the onions and the aromatics and the kale stems and everything are getting nice and soft. So once that all starts to get nice and soft, tip in your rice and your tomatoes. Give that a really good stir. And then what we're gonna do is add our stock and just let that all cook down. That measuring cup, because it was sitting by the vent of the stove, got really nice and super hot. So that's wonderful. And then the tomatoes are gonna give off quite a bit of liquid. So I've added about 2 cups of stock and then I'm gonna let this cook down. Now, while that's just coming up to a nice bubble, what I'm going to do is talk about this lovely stuff that we made. So you have an abundance of kale in the winter and you're not sure what to do with it. It truly doesn't make a very good Caesar salad. People will tell you it does, but I'm not 100% convinced. But it does make lots of other wonderful things, and one of them is a pesto. So I took the kale, pumpkin seeds, cheese, oil, salt, pepper, and garlic. And then I take a bunch of Italian parsley because the kale by itself can be a little earthy and deep. So what I do is I mix that all in the food processor, and you get this lovely bright green fragrant oil that we're going to put on top of the soup. So we're just going to let that simmer. However, because of a little bit of forethought, we have a vat of the soup made here. Now, one of the things about adding rice to soup, you'll notice in the recipe, it only calls for a 1/4 cup of rice. And you're going to think, that is not a lot of rice. It is. The rice will drink every ounce of liquid you add to the soup. So I've added a little bit of extra stock here just to make it nice. And what I'm doing is just letting that stock melt down. As always, it's in the form of cubes because that's how we freeze it at home. And that's going to be right the nice texture. This is what we lovingly refer to at home as stoup. So it's a cross between a soup and a stew. It's quite rich and thick. We serve it with nice, fresh, crusty bread. You can serve it with a wedge of cheese, or you can serve it with a little bit of charcuterie. It's really quite lovely. So now we have this beautiful soup all ready to go. You can see in there all the colors of the veg. It's really fresh. And as always, with most of the recipes, this freezes like a champ. So you make double the amount you need, make double the recipe I've supplied with Stewart, and take it and put it in the freezer. And then when you get home one night, kids have had hockey, or you're tired and grumpy because you just had a long day at work, pour yourself a nice glass of white wine, pour yourself a glass of this soup, and you're all good to go. So to plate it, what we do is we take a nice pretty, it deserves a nice pretty bowl, and we just take our soup, try and get a nice amount of liquid in there. And it's quite thick. And then we just give that a good stir. And then we take a little bit of our oil and drizzle that on the top. This oil has a beautiful flavor. And then you can see that beautiful soup with the green oil on top, just enough liquid, and that's going to be so fresh and delicious. Even in the middle of winter, you're not going to mind eating root vegetables. So enjoy your day, enjoy your soup, and thank you for eating all the vegetables from Bryson Farm. We'll see you again.